All right, everybody, welcome to the Wednesday webinar. Today we have special guest Nick, who I'll bring up here in a minute. I'm pumped for this. Nick's someone who's been in this business a long time. He runs Lead Mining Pros. He's expert cold caller, understands leads.
Yep.
Good dude, also like a good good dude in terms of just been in this business, helps so many people. Like that's the thing that I've noticed the most about him running his business is how much he helps his clients and like how personal he is with those interactions.
Yeah, and I think what everyone can get from Nick is the fact that how he knows how to handle leads. Like his sales ability is when you look at people joining this industry, Ron, for most of them, their number one fear is just talking to leads and what to do with them. Nick offers free courses on how to teach people to do this. He offers a lot of value outside of just, hey, I'm going to bring you leads. So I'm excited to kick it with him and really talk about sales and leads in general.
All right, well, I'm going to get Nick up here. Nick, welcome to the channel.
Nick?
Happy to have you.
Yeah, no, that was all. First of all, I love how far my reputation goes sometimes too. It was really nice to hear those things that, you guys said, and you really hit it on the head. I tell people all the time, hey, I say, hey, I'm not just a cashier at Walmart, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to buy leads from me and never see me again. You can talk to me about how the produce went after you got home, if you want to. And it's like, I'm here through the whole process. I'm not just here to put leads in your hand. I'm here to make sure you're doing the right things with those leads too.
Exactly. Yeah. And I found out just a couple of weeks ago, Nick lives like a mile away from me as well.
That's amazing.
I had no idea.
Guys, as you guys are trickling in here, again, welcome everybody to the channel who is in here. Let us know a couple things. One, let us know your location. And two, let us know your experience level in land flipping. And if you guys have questions for Nick, anything like that, this is going to be a very open discussion. I have some questions for Nick. Kind of run it like a live podcast, honestly, Dan. But as you guys come in, we want this to be interactive with the guests. So put in your experience level and where you're from, and then we'll get to some questions. But I'm excited for it.
Yeah, and I think, first off, I think we're waiting on that second text to go out. So we'll wait a couple minutes to really dive in here with Nick because I didn't see it come through. But yeah, as you guys are waiting in this lobby, let us know your experience just in land in general. We're excited to get to it and go over these questions. We got an expert guest on today, Nick of Lead Mining Pros. Who's an expert in all things cold calling, texting, just lead generation, right, Nick?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. What I try to teach is like really universal. My courses are designed to teach people how to close my leads, but I also tell them that like no matter what lead you get until the end of time, you can apply these principles. It's specifically in tune for cold calling or text messaging as well because it's more relationship based. But yeah, it's really all lead flow. I specialize in calling and texting, but my strategies for acquisitions are universal.
I got a question for you, I guess. I'm going to actually wait to get to this question because I think it's kind of juicy. So I'll wait on that. Okay. But we'll let some more people trickle in. I think Ron's looking at that to see if that text goes out. Welcome in Daniel, Juan, Ironwood, Philip Katz. Welcome in. Philip Katz is another guy in our program. Nicholas, he's looking to double down on cold calling. He said he actually lives in Tampa. We've played some tennis together. We did a podcast with him. He's another Tampa guy here local as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll make sure I add him as a friend too on Facebook.
Daniel. Yeah, I said, what's the best way to communicate with you, man? He goes, yeah, dude, we'll just start a group chat on Facebook. So
dude, I'm like I'm like an old millennial. I got on Facebook. I'm not an Instagram guy. I'm not a TikTok guy. I'm old school on the Facebook.
How old are you?
I'm actually 40 as of this last Monday. I just turned 40 years old.
Happy birthday, man.
No, thank you. Dude.
Really good. So one thing you might not know, and I just realized this when we were talking too, 3 years ago, you, me, Austin Silver, a bunch of other guys went paintballing together.
Oh.
Yeah, I saw the picture of you. I was like, no, we've gone paintballing together. Like you pulled up in your gold Tesla, I remember. And I can't forget that. So that stuck with me.
No, that's amazing. I didn't know that you were a part of that crew.
Oh, yeah. I'm good friends with Austin Silver, all those guys.
Oh man, that's so that's what a small world.
Absolutely.
That's funny because I joked to my friends. I was like, man, I've been in Daniel's DMs for like the past 6 months. And little did I know we were shooting paintballs at each other.
I showed Ron that too. I was like, we gotta get Nicholas Nick on. Look at my DMs. He's been on me for a long time. And that shows the go that you preach what you speak on just the lead and follow up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you guys got a lot of messages. You know, one thing I'll tell you, and I was just talking to one of my mentors about this as well. Because, you know, I got my girlfriend the same way that I got you guys. And I think that's being persistent and not getting emotional. Right. I think, you know, you want to follow up, you want to do your thing, but you never want to get discouraged and take that out. I've had people in my DMs message me. One day they just get nasty, right, with you. And I'm like, hey, you know, and it's like, that just kills it right away. And I think, you know, I've seen people do that to me and it makes me feel bad if I'm being transparent. However, I see like the way I've done it with you guys. And like I said, my girlfriend that I have now, it's like, it's about the persistence and not getting emotional and just being consistent with your persistence.
Yeah. I didn't know you got your girlfriend through cold calling, man. You can't.
Hey, it makes sense.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I just clicked the button to send out 50,000 text messages. It looked like we had an issue with our messages going out. So we should have some people trickle in here. If we have to go a few minutes over at the end, we'll do that. But yeah, for everyone watching, like with us bringing people on here, like this is a completely like Nick's highly vetted in terms of like his business. It wasn't like something like he said, like he was on us. Then we had to do our vetting. We had to talk to customers, everything like that. Like it's highly vetted in terms of bringing people on here, but it's definitely something that we're excited about this partnership too, both ways. I think you're going to bring a ton of, like the way I see it, like you're going to bring a ton of value for our students, for people we push towards you. So that's what I'm really excited for. I want people getting more deals, honestly, and different marketing strategies are definitely helpful.
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. And I see Morris James just joined on. I just had a phone call with him the other day.
There you go. Welcome in, Morris.
Yeah. What's up? That's awesome.
Cool. All right, Ron, where do you want to start with this?
Yeah, I want to get some questions in here, guys. Honestly, that's the biggest thing. But Nick, let's just talk about marketing as a whole. And I know you probably have bias towards cold calling. There's obviously a lot of people doing direct mail successfully. Where do you think like currently the land marketing business is? What have you seen change maybe over the last 6-12 months in terms of things that are working, things that might not be working?
Okay. Yeah. So I'll start from the top. So, you know, direct mail, right? Very, very consistent, very common. You know, the thing about direct mail is I've had people call me up and they go, this market sucks. And I ask them, I say, well, what gave you the indication that market sucks? Oh, well, I sent out 3,000 letters and I didn't get any leads. And my simple answer is I would not value a market based off how good or bad your direct mail campaign did. Okay. So the first thing I would say is I think they'll do a mail blast and then they'll make a decision about how that market looks. Right. And guys, I mean, I think direct mail has a tougher run than ever. Yeah, I just made a post today. I can't speak to how you guys check your mail, but here's how I check my mail. I open up the mailbox. Anything that's colorful gets thrown away. Right. It's that simple. You know, someone's marketing postcard would never get to me. I would never even see it. Hey, I sent you something. I wouldn't know about it, right? Not a chance. And so now it does still serve its purpose, right? It does still work, right? No one's saying it doesn't work. The good news of direct mail is the leads are easier, okay? No arguments there. That's a call to action. They're literally calling in. It's an easier lead. The downside, it's a more expensive lead. Right? $300 to $600 per lead in some cases. You know, sometimes you can spend $3,000 and not get a single lead, right? So it is kind of a Russian roulette, it feels like sometimes. So that's number one. But I'm not a naysayer on direct mail. We just have to know their strengths and weaknesses. Next, we have cold calling. All right. Now, cold calling, I'm going to split up into two categories: foreign cold calling and American cold calling. Okay. And I offer both. Okay. Now, the way I discern it for my clients is you want to use Americans for land or niche lists, smaller lists, niche lists Americans. Houses, you want to use foreign callers, okay? More saturated market, stuff like that. And the reason why is houses, you might have 30,000 records of houses in your neighborhood. Hey, yeah, throw a foreign caller on there. Let them go nuts for 3 weeks at full time, right? Hey, I only got 2,000 records. That's it. My whole market. Boom, dialed down. 2,000 records. That's all I got. You better put in your highest trained assassin on that guy, right? And that's going to be the American caller.
Got it.
And I've seen the statistics, and the Americans outperform foreign callers on land almost 2-1.
Wow.
And in houses, it's actually kind of even, if I'm being honest. And that's because on houses, they're being pelted so much by phone calls, it doesn't even matter if the person has an accent or not. They're just bombarded.
Yeah. And what do you define? Let's
Dan,
define.
let's hold on, because we just had 100 people jump in here. And they're like, who the hell is this guy talking? So this is Nick with Lead Mining Pros. Guys, he runs a business where, how many cold calls are you making per day right now, your team?
Between my two teams, I think the Americans are pushing about 8,000 to 9,000, and the foreign are somewhere between 7,000 to 9,000.
Yeah.
So I'd say on the low end, 15K a day, all the way up to 20K a day in dials going out.
Yeah, so Nick's overseeing 15,000 calls per day. That's some people won't make that in a year. There's so many, it's a high volume. So he is learning at such a high rate when he's taking on clients, which is really cool. And what he was talking about just then is the difference between American callers and foreign callers, where he's seen 2-1, which is crazy, Dan. I know you kind of wow, it kind of caught you back a little bit, like how much better American.
It makes sense though.
Yeah,
it makes sense. But what are you classifying as foreign? Like anything? Because I know a lot of people go to Southeast Asia and the Philippines and all of that for it. But what about like Latin America, where they especially some border towns where they don't have as thick of accents?
Honestly, foreign is anyone for me that's not in America.
Yeah.
Okay. Even if they're in South America, it really all depends on the accent. I really hate to say that, but I'll tell you guys real quick how I interview my foreign callers. Okay. So I go online, I make a post inside this group full of VAs. I mean, it's annoyingly full of virtual assistants, this group is. And I make a post and I say, I'm hiring at $6 an hour. Okay. But you have to send me a recording of your voice to apply. Nothing else is an application other than your voice recording. Okay.
Yep.
Then I literally just listen to all these people. And I hate breaking the news to them. Your accent's too thick. I'm sorry. I'm looking for the most, even on my foreign team, I'm looking for the most American sounding person, period. So, I don't think nationality matters as much as how American do they sound.
Got it. And you're saying 2-1 with your team ratio. So for every 2 leads that an American would get, the foreigners would get 1, and that's with good speaking foreigners because you're using it.
Right. That's even with what I would call an immaculate foreign call.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And what do you define as a lead? So I want to get into some numbers with you. One, how many calls are you making per lead on average? And we'll break that down to American versus foreign. 2, what do you define as a lead in terms of how do you qualify them?
Yeah. So land, my average lead numbers, my best campaigns for land are generating 1 lead every 100 dials. My best campaigns, top 10%. Okay. 1 lead every 100. Now, with land, if I'm looking at it from an evaluation basis, I don't want to see that go over 350, ideally. Okay. So 100 dials per lead, best case scenario, 350 dials per lead, worst of the best case scenario. So that's really where we want our ideal range in if we're sending an American in. And I'll get it right every time. If it's around 350 or maybe 1 lead in every 500, I'll say, hey, is this a saturated market? And they're like, yeah, how'd you know? And I'm like, well, that's what the numbers are telling me, right? So I'm literally, KPIs to me are almost like the matrix, right? Other people see foreign objects, and I kind of can see exactly what's going on.
And of that lead, what qualifies the lead then? So how are you qualifying this person's interested in selling?
So every conversation starts the same with us. Hey, I'm sorry to bother. I'm reaching out about the 3-acre property in Galveston, Texas. Oh, yeah, that's me. Oh, wonderful. Well, my name's Nicholas, and I was wondering, have you ever considered selling before? Okay. And we purposefully say this slowly. All right. Then if they say yes at all, no matter what, that's a lead. Now, we do ask 10 qualifying questions after that. But a yes, no matter what, you're going to get it. That's my commitment to you, right? I'm not going to, someone says yes to me, you're getting it. I'm not saying it's going to be, I'm not saying they're going to say all the right stuff after they say yes. That's not what I'm saying, right? But I will ask them those questions and get all the information. Now, let's say, I'm just going to add this real quick because it's really ninja what we do. Let's say they say no. Okay. What's important is what we do when they say no. We have a 3 rebuttal touch. Okay. And the first one is, do you see anything changing in the next 3 to 6 months? You'd be surprised how stupid often that works.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Just, oh, well, actually, I've heard of myself. Oh, well, yeah. Something good happened, right?
Yeah.
So that's the first. The next one is, do you have any other properties that you've ever considered selling? You know, when you ask about a specific property, they're not looking at all their properties. So you have to remind them about, oh, you'd be surprised. Oh, yeah. Geez, didn't even think about it. Yeah, this one right here, the one right next door, right? So you never know that one. Then if they say no to that, we also hit them with, do you know anyone else who's ever considered selling? Now, the most important thing that happens in these 3 follow-up questions is we're like jogging them out of autopilot, right? Everyone's answering the phone, too busy to give a shit about whatever we're calling about. So they're just waiting to get off the phone with us. So by the time we ask that second or third rebuttal question, they'll be like, what I'm sorry, what are we talking about again? Like we actually have their attention at that point, right? And so those are the couple things that we do to generate a lead. And that's even if it is a no.
Got it. And the people listening, I think, are wondering one thing. Okay, they're getting a lead. Let's say they get 10 of them and they're a very good salesperson, because it all comes down to their sales ability when you're going this route. Like, how are you going to be able to close the deal? You're getting an interested seller that's qualified based on the notes. Are they going to be able to close them? And the audience wants to probably know, I would imagine, what for a good salesman, what closing percentage do you think that you'd provide per lead? So they get 10 leads. How many are they going to close it to an actual deal? Let's say it's good land and a good salespeople. They're using the land portal. They have their list. It's good land and it's a good salesperson.
So our average client closes a deal in 12 to 20 leads. So I'd say if you're killing it, 10 to 12. Okay. But if you're at 20 and you don't have a contract, my theory is you missed something. Okay. Like almost you want to think of yourself like a detective looking for a serial killer, right? You got 20 leads. You don't have a choice. You missed a clue somewhere. Go find the clue that you missed, right? That's not a shaming thing. That's just, that's how I optimistically look at that. Right. Now I have had clients in land to get 13 leads and close 4 of those deals, 2. Right. So I have had people shatter those averages as well, but on average, 12 to 20 is a really safe buffer, and 20 really should be your worst case scenario.
Okay.
Nice.
So every 20 leads, they should be closing at least 1 on worst case scenario. And if you're at that 20 lead range, let's look in the mirror and say, hey, what can I do better? How can I improve my sales ability? So what do you do? What can people do to help them get from 20 to 12?
Yeah. And first of all, great question. Okay. And it's process. You know, I had a guy call me up the other day. Hopefully he's not watching. Sorry, bro. But he's like, hey man, you know, we got some leads, but you know, they didn't really turn out. Could you give us some free work? Because I just, so everyone knows, like if you're not satisfied, whatever you buy, I give you 20% more for free. Okay. If you're not satisfied, 100%. So then I was like, hey, yeah, I was like, dude, I'm gonna give you something. Let me just take a look at your numbers before I commit to anything. I look it up. We got him 130 leads. Okay. And so it's like, look, you know, my point to him is, dude, look, so I'm going to give you like a little bump here. Right. But my concern is that if you didn't close on 130, then I'm under the impression that even if I send you 130 more, you still might not close it. Right. And the unfortunate side of being the kind of business owner I am is I do have those tough talks with people. Right. Like, of course, that guy wants to pretend like it's my leads. Right. But it's like, look, I can guarantee you probably didn't call half of them. Okay. You probably read the notes and you're like, yeah, that didn't look like a good lead. So let's just go back. Right. So that's an example on what happens when you don't do your due diligence. Right. Now, when you do it, what is that? So that's calling the lead within an hour of you getting it. Okay. That's what I highly recommend you do. Calling the lead no matter what the notes say. Okay. I don't care what the notes say. You know, one of my favorite sayings is, my father, God rest his soul, he had cancer for 7 months before he even told me, right? So why would we expect someone who's in a tough situation to tell us right away?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's such like a disillusioned thing. These people, no one's proud of their problems, right? So we actually have to have a conversation with them. We have to get them to like us, and then we can get to the source of their problem, right? So, if they don't say the right thing on the first call, still call the lead no matter what. So one of my rules is every lead's worth 2 to 5 minutes of your time. Okay.
Got it.
If it's not, you're in the wrong business.
What do you think the number one mistake people are doing? Like the person who got 130 leads and is not closing. Do you think it is he's not calling back, and he's not, like, we look at it in our business as a speed to lead? Is that one of the most important factors, do you think, getting to the person as fast as possible?
Well, speed is important, but what's most important is I call it your mental self-talk, right? I'm not a big mindset guy. I'm really not, but I will tell you, what you tell yourself about the lead will come true. So if you find yourself picking up every lead going, this sucks, okay, you're right. It's going to suck. With that attitude, you're going to call the homeowner with the bad attitude. You're going to throw shade at them. They're going to pick up on your attitude. So I would say, the way that which we perceive the leads is the most first important thing, right? And then the next is how quickly are we tending to that lead?
Got it.
That's a good point. There's so many good nuggets in here, Dan. Real fast, guys, for everyone in the chat, because we haven't done this, let us know your experience level, because I want to get to break it down a little farther, at least, or maybe back up a few steps, honestly. So everyone in the chat, let us know your experience level. So Nick is someone who's making, literally, his team is making 15,000 calls per day. Put some questions in the chat for Nick so we can get to them. We'll get to all the questions. We'll go over a little bit over time if we need to. But I want to get the details. So Nick owns essentially an outbound calling agency to get you deals, to get you land deals. So that's the coolest thing. Nick, we recently, I know, I don't know how much you've been on the land portal recently. Obviously, that was something you were excited about in terms of a lot of people are asking where you're getting data, stuff like that. And you're getting data for land portal, at least starting soon.
Yeah.
What's your kind of data quality? So important. And beyond just like the call or the number quality is like, what is the quality of the land? And I think that's one thing that attracted you to land portal so much, is it can be very filtered land. What are your thoughts on that? How do you think that's going to improve your business?
Yeah, I'm super excited. I get calls all the time asking me about frontage and stuff like that. Hey, can I measure this? Can you filter out wetlands? And honestly, I'm just using data tree right now, and other people might be sympathizing with these same exact pains. It's not really the best software. It's great if you want everything, right? But they charge you per lead. So if you get everything, you're really paying for it. What you guys provide is people are able to get exactly what they're looking for. And that's what I'm excited about. So many clients come to me and they're like, well, look, I don't want 5,000 records in this county. I want 1,000 records that have 100 frontage on it and that aren't in wetlands. So if you can't get that to me, I'm going to go get it from Land Portal, and I'm going to come back to you. And that's kind of how our conversation got started. My customers kept saying Land Portal, Land Portal, Land Portal. And I was like, I got to find out about this new Swiss Army knife everybody's talking about over here. And that's why. So we're going to be exclusively providing your data as well to everybody. And that's starting today as well. Is
it going to be, what's like are the expectations for someone going to change? Like if they are, like if you were pulling the data initially and like, I was doing a demo of the land portal with someone, I think it was yesterday. And I'm like, he's like, I use PropStream. All right, cool. Let's look. Where do you do business? All right, Alabama. What's a county? Washington County, Alabama. All right. What's the acreage range you're looking for? He's like, I do 2 to 100. Very normal. So I pulled it up. No landlocked, nothing. 4,600 records. I click the landlocked, like not landlocked. It dropped the records down to 1,900. Right. So like, I think from your customers end, like someone who is using Lead Mining Pros, it's just going to be like, it's just so much less wasted time for them getting bad leads, not bad leads from your guys' perspective, just bad leads in terms of the land.
Their needs. Yeah.
100%. The quality, like maybe the lead volume will go down a little bit. I don't know if that's something in your head, like I'm okay with this, because at the end of the day, all you care about is them getting more deals, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. I'm expected for certain people to get that sniper approach, right? I think the more sniper you get, and the more quality leads that do get put on your hands, I think that should increase your closing ratio, right? Because you're getting exactly what you're looking for, which means you should know exactly what to do with it, right? That's the one perk. I do think somebody potentially starting out, I recommend that they do go a little broader. Yeah. And then they learn where their niche is, right? And it's like kind of one thing I tell all clients if they're new is to chase every lead down as far as you can. Okay. Now, what I mean by that is, oh, look, there's title issues. Oh, there's probate issues. Well, great. Well, don't quit. Don't quit now, right? Learn as much as you can about this issue.
Yeah.
And you know what? You might not close this deal, but if you chase it down as far as it can go, the next time you come across a lead like that, you're going to say, hold my beer, right?
Yep.
You're going to have it.
All right. I got a question as well. It's more of a niche one.
I just put one in here, Dan, real fast. Can we get this real fast?
Yeah, get to that one. Then I got one from earlier in the chat.
This is a solid question. Yeah, there's a lot of questions back there. I work a full-time job. What do you do when you can't get to the leads in that hour because you're working? How do you handle that? Or how do you handle that? So yeah. Nick is making calls for land investors. His team's making calls for land investors. So you have someone who works a 9 to 5, and it's not a 2025 9 to 5 where they can just do whatever the hell they want. It's a real 9 to 5 where they're actually working. They can't just do whatever, whenever. But what do you tell someone like that if you're talking to a client?
Yeah. So first, this goes really hand to hand with one of the courses I just launched. Okay. And the course is called the 1 hour a day investor. Okay. And it says, if you only have 1 hour a day, which a lot of people do, right? Just like you mentioned, they have real 9 to 5s up there. It's a blue collar job and they can only do this for 1 hour a day. What exactly should they be doing? The good news is land is the only one you can call not right away. Now, you should call every lead as quickly as you possibly can, but that doesn't mean it has to be 15 minutes. Yeah. Okay. I have noticed with land, because it's less saturated and they're less pursued, that I would say you do have about a 12-hour window of receiving that lead. So if you call them that same day while that sun is still out, I'd say you're safe. So what I recommend for those people, you get off at 5. Okay. From 5:30 to 6:30, that's your hour to make that call as well.
That makes sense.
What about, are you able to, so if I'm a client of Lead Mining Pros, am I able to tell you, Nick, listen, like you guys are calling all these people. Can you tell them I'll give them a call back between 6 to 7 Eastern? This is like my call window. Is that something like I could have in my client notes?
Yeah. We've never gotten that before, but I love that idea.
Yeah.
Yes, we could do that.
Yeah,
absolutely. We could. What we ask them now is at the end, right before we get off the phone, is there a better phone number for you? Is there a good email address for you? When's the best time for my partner to call you back? Right, is what we ask the person right now. But I love, the idea of saying, hey, they're going to call between 6 and 7. So if that person's that organized, I think that's probably why we don't get that a lot. Maybe a lot of our people aren't that disciplined, no offense to anybody, but they might not know exactly when their hour is. But yes, we could do that.
And what I saw one earlier in the chat, I thought this was a good one too. A couple people actually asked it. How many calls are you calling each lead on average?
So that's first. There's a better way for me to answer that, but I will answer that. So I like to call people twice. Okay. And I like to call them all the way through and then call them again. I don't like to do the double tap. I always say, I don't want to send you an aggravated lead. I want to send you a lead, right? I don't know if anyone's ever double or triple tapped you, but it's like, what? What the hell do you want, man? Like, damn, this shit better be important. Okay. But I like to call everyone twice. Now I see the data, and because I sell the dials, it's really important that I only recommend what works best for my clients. I'll tell everyone this: the third time after you call a list, you need to not call it for a little bit. Okay. Your results. I know this one company is like, oh, we call everyone 6 times. I guarantee you after the third time, you're wasting your money and your time. Okay. So I would never call anyone more than 3 times. Our sweet spot is 2 because I want to get you the most results. So what we do is we call everyone twice and we text everyone once is what we do.
Got it.
This is a good question for it because a lot of people, Nick, get into this business, and I want this business because there's so much opportunity in this business, and that's why we do these every week, is to help people for free in terms of giving them value. And there's been so many people that have come through our course, be like, yeah, I was cold calling for 3 months. I double closed my first deal. I made $30,000, and then I could buy a course. But they started with so little. So let's talk about people who are looking to pick up the phone and make some calls themselves. And what I always tell people is, like, don't try to make 100 calls a day. It's not realistic. Probably make 30, 50 calls a day and be consistent with it. Like, be consistent, and it's going to turn into a deal. But for someone who is doing that, like, when are good times to call? What times do you see the highest pickup rate?
So each day has its own personality. Okay? So if I wanted to get super nerdy, I could get super nerdy, but I'll give you guys a couple of briefer answers. The first answer is, when's the best time to cold call? My joke, and the absolute truth is, whenever you feel like it is the best time to cold call. Cold calling's like working out. Okay. I hate working out. You know, do I look great from doing it? Sure. Right. Do I get rich from cold calling? Yeah. But you know what? It sucks. Okay. So if you're in the mood to cold call at all, that's when you do it.
It's good advice. Yeah.
So if you're sitting on the couch, you're like, I feel like cold call, get your ass up and call. Okay. That's number one. Number two is, you know, there's a lot of rumors on cold calling. You know, can you call between 2 and 6? That's when everyone's going to be getting off work. Stop thinking everyone's you. Okay. You don't believe me? Go to Costco at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, right? I thought everyone was an employee, right? Well, how is the Costco parking lot completely slapped full? Right. And so it's like, not everyone lives the life you think they live. So I personally love to call at random. Okay. And that's because if we're going to call from 9 to 11 on Monday, then we need to call from 2 to 4 on Tuesday and from 5 to 8 on Wednesday, because if they didn't answer on Monday, you know, maybe they're always busy during that timeline. Okay. So I like to keep it mixed up personally. That's one of the benefits of using us. We do it all at random. The other part I'll say is, we definitely see more leads from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Okay. And I know that's counterintuitive. You know, it shocks me that there's that many morning people out there. Right. But people will pick up early in the morning, have a good attitude, but we start calling at 9. Legally, you can start calling at 8. But we start calling at 9. 8 is too early. And we also stop calling at 7:30, even though legally we can call till 9 p.m. at night as well. That's way too late to call people. Do not do that. You know, like, again, I don't want to send you a pissed off lead.
Got it.
It's a good point. Any questions you see in there, Dan? A few questions. Hold on one second. Man, this is good information. This is cool to hear. And it's like I said before, like $15,000 dials per day is going to, like, you just learn so fast. There's different types of, and I say, like, some people are land investors for 3 months and they have the experience of someone who's been doing this business for 3 years because they're so high volume. And there's people who have been doing it for 3 years who really don't have any real experience. A couple people asked about data. Guys, there is a Land Portal free 14-day trial link in the description below. Nick, you know, Nick's a marketer, Dan, when he's got his URL in his name. Nick's a master marketer. All the marketing people, that's how you know you have a good marketer, though. Like, you want to work with people who are getting their name out. Obviously, he's not but like, it was like the guy we had on a podcast, stand, who owns a lead generation service for a completely different business. He does SEO stuff, not even anything with land. And he had a Cybertruck with his URL on the side of the Cybertruck.
Yep.
So yeah, marketers, good marketers, people who own marketing businesses should get their name out there for sure. Do you open up? Someone asked about the dialer that you use, like, or is there a dialer that if someone is trying to do this themselves, is there a dialer you would suggest?
You know, we use call tools, but you know, that's really advanced. You know, I have 17 employees dialing at any given moment, right? So I do not recommend call tools for anybody who's new. The learning curve is going to slow you down. What I recommend to people just wanting to cut their teeth is Mojo Dialer. Okay. It's very simple, very easy. I would totally give that one a shot.
Nice.
You know, the interface is not going to overwhelm you. You upload the records, you click it, and then you hit start call.
You said Mojo Dialer?
Mojo Dialer. Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah, because that's a common question. We use Alloyware in our outbound business, which is probably a little more high tech, and we see the same thing as far as I get so like if I don't see my outbound team like on the phone at 9 a.m. like I get flustered because that's the best time, guys. Like don't overthink when like Nick said, don't overthink. People are getting off work at this time. Make calls early in the morning, 9 a.m. 9 to 10:30 is when we see the highest pickup rate, the highest volume of long conversations. So that's cool to see, which is this is a different purpose in terms of our outbound team. Any other questions, Dan, that you have for him? I want to hop in our members call here in a minute. We went 5 minutes over, but I let them know. But any other questions you have, Dan, for Nick?
No, we'll get Nick on again soon. He's coming on the podcast as well, and he'll be a frequent guest here. And yeah, it was great having you, Nick, though. But do you have any last remarks for everyone?
No, I would just say make sure, you spend time with every lead, and I would totally check out my courses. If you go to my website, they're at the top. It says free REI courses. The one I'd recommend starting with is called the 1 hour a day investor. It's only about an hour long. It's not this long, daunting headache. But I talk a lot about exactly how to handle leads to get them under contract. And it's very non-invasive. I don't put you in an uncomfortable position at all. You're not hard negotiating or anything like that. But, I would say your mindset and what you tell yourself about the lead is incredibly important before you call them. Just how I say, don't cold call in a bad mood. Don't piss yourself off about the lead right before you call it either. Right. It's totally going to translate over to the lead and it's not going to go as planned.
Nice. Absolutely. We'll go to leadminingpros.com to see what Nick's got. He's got, like you said, free courses there, and he's got some paid stuff if you want leads as well, but a lot of different knowledge you can take from him calling 15,000 leads a day. So he has all the experience you're looking for. It's a great place to start. Like we said, also, he's partnered with the Land Portal now. So, your data is coming from a safe spot and really solid data. And then also we're partnering with Nick on the Lead Mining Pro side because he's been a killer in the industry.
Best in the business there. So yeah, we're pumped for this partnership, Nick. It was a long time coming, I think. We're happy to get you on here. Like Dan said, we're going to have Nick on the podcast here very shortly. Hopefully we'll release in the next couple of weeks. I feel like me and Nick could have a 2-hour conversation, just release a kick-ass podcast. But we're excited for that, Nick. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. Awesome. You guys have a good one. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Take care.